Yo, what is going on, guys? Today, I'm here to bring you the updated full egging guide. I'm going to try to go as in-depth as I can and really give you as many tips as I can for how to prep, make, and then hatch your eggs as optimally as possible. I had a previous video like this that I'm going to leave up for, I don't know, preservation's sake, but it is mostly outdated now. And I really liked that video, and I thought it was really helpful. So I'm going to make a follow-up to it. I have a bunch of notes. I asked a bunch of other people, like if they had any tips and stuff. So I will be mentioning if the tip came from someone else. But first, I'm going to go over why to egg hunt in the first place. So I've seen a couple times that people compare egg hunting versus singling to, like, egg hunting makes it so you don't phase, but it costs a lot. And singling is cheaper, but you have phases. And while that is technically true, that is not why you egg hunt. The point of egg hunting is that for some species, it is the most optimal way to get a shiny of that species. So, for example, a Pokemon like Charmander, who's going to be my example for this video, is you're only going to get about 20 to 25 Charmander in the wild on average per hour. Meanwhile, if you are egging Charmander, you can hatch 75 Charmander per hour, and with the Halloween egg ticking change, which I'll explain a little bit in the future, or a little bit later in the video, it's actually really easy to hatch your eggs while doing other stuff. So you get those 75 Charmander encounters an hour for free, not cost free, but, you know, time-wise, no extra time, while you're hunting something else. I love to hatch in the Safari Zone, or while I'm hoarding near a PC, or really whatever I'm doing, you can hatch while you're doing it. So that is why you egg hunt. And I love egg hunting. I have 2 egg hunting shinies. I have my Eevee and my Porygon. By the way, I changed my username to Shine. I had no better way to announce that, so this is where you can see that now. I think it's a cool name. But now I'm going to talk about prepping the egg batches. I think it's really important to get your prep down correctly. If you prep poorly, you're going to egg poorly. There's some old saying that people bring up, like, it's what is it? Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance, or something like that. Basically, if you prep, you'll do better. That's just how it works. So first, what region you decide to make the eggs in doesn't matter very much anymore. It used to be super important. Unova and Johto used to be head and shoulders above everyone else. But pretty much everywhere works now. I'm going to be using Sinnoh as an example for today, but it's not that important which region you pick. Technically, Unova is still best because of something we'll talk about later in the video, but it doesn't really matter. Another big tip, this is from user Hockey in Petrowski's Discord. That's H-A-K-I. Always make sure you have enough Pokeballs before you start. It's easy to run out. You might have caught earlier that my Eevee was actually hatched in a Great Ball because I didn't do this tip. And you'll just waste a lot of money. Pokeballs add up. I'm 60k dry right now on my current egg hunt, and I just looked over at the calc. I have spent 12.3 million Pokeyen on Pokeballs alone. So keep in mind that that triples if you accidentally use Great Balls. It, you know, spirals out of control if you start using the other balls in your bag. So just make sure you have enough Pokeballs, and maybe make sure you have a decent amount of Great Balls to act as like a buffer, you know, so you can notice before you accidentally burn through your expensive Pokeballs. Suggested by Kaizo is make sure to use strings. There are currently 2 main strings that people are using. That is Bill's strings and Super's strings. I've been told that one might be slightly faster than the other for some people, but as of right now, I haven't noticed a difference myself, and either one of them could update their strings to be faster in the future, maybe. So find the best strings at the time. I will be linking super strings in the description and Bill's strings, so you can make that decision for yourself. But you know, if this is like a year in the future, it could be something else. So ask around if it is significantly in the future. Suggested by my teammate Skitty is to assign your shiny charm to a hotkey. This will save you a very small amount of time, but it's also a free time save. Instead of going into your bag and finding it and then hitting it and closing your bag, you can just hit the hotkey. So the way to do that is to drag the shiny charm onto your hotbar, or to right click, press register, and pick whatever button you want to assign it to. Now, this is my hot take of the video, my scalding hot take, and I've actually had this for a while. Egging on charm is optional. You don't have to. People seem to think it saves a lot of time and money, and it really, really, really doesn't. So, donator status is a must. I will explain that in a second. But charm for a full Ditto hunt, so something like Rotom, Porygon, Beldum, where it's genderless and you have to use all Dittos, is going to save you around 4 million Pokeyen at current market prices, and is going to save you around 40 hours of hatching, which sounds like a ton, but it really just isn't worth, in my opinion, the stress of trying to fit as many eggs into a charm as possible. Egging off charm is freeing, and that is my hot take, and I just recommend you try it. I think it makes it so much nicer. You just don't have to go very fast. So many of the tips I'm going to bring up in this video are super try hard to get a few more eggs per hour, and you just don't have to do it if you're off charm. So, personally, I don't like to egg on charm, but I'm still going to tell you as many tips as possible for the people who do decide to egg on charm, because it does save time and money, even if it's only a little. The next, like, more beginner-oriented, and the final more beginner-oriented thing for prepping is going to be just to set up your boxes nicely. So I have here an example. I actually paid like 200k to make a bunch of these female, just to, you know, try to simulate what it would look like. So what you can do is press the auto sort button and sort by gender, and that will move all of the females to the front of the box. And so what you can do with this is, I can see right here I have 10. There's 10 in a row, so it's easy to do the math. I have 10 females. I can grab 10 male breeders, line them up with the females like that, and then the other slots can all be Ditto, which I have in my account box stored here. I like to set it up like this with the like alternating rows of target and then breeder, target, breeder, target, breeder. If you see that. But you can really do it. I know some people like the vertical rows where it's like Charmander in the first column and then breeders and then Charmander and then breeders, but I think it's, I don't know. I always thought that was weird looking to me. And then you can just do that for all your boxes. This one, I've got 7 breeders, and I know in this box I only have 7 breeders left because I prepped for this video. Wow. And the rest of the Dittos go in this box. And then I will set up my box the same way. Consistency is a big deal, so that you're doing the same thing over and over again. It'll just make you a little better. The auto sort was suggested to me by Tatami, who is a rad member, I believe. And the final prep thing is that sometimes buying a female Pokemon off the GTL is actually less expensive than buying a Ditto. So let's say I was hunting for Quillfish, right? And I have a bunch of male Quillfish. They can only breed with Ditto or other Quillfish if I want the egg to be a Quillfish. So if I look up the price of Ditto right now, they're about 5k. There's actually only a few for 5k. It looks like they've been recently bought out. And if I look Quillfish, and I look for a female, that will actually get me only 3.5k per. And there's going to be a... this is about half a box of Dittos that I would save by buying Quillfish. And that's just off the GTL. And some Pokemon, it's going to be a lot bigger of a thing. Some Pokemon, it's going to be a lot smaller of a thing, like Charmander, for example, isn't going to be saving you shit. And this was suggested to me by Clue, who is my teammate on Mister. And I will note that this is often way more true with alphas. For example, if you're doing alpha Quillfish, alpha Quillfish is 10k. Meanwhile, alpha Ditto is 80k. And even like a male breeder, like a male water bee breeder, whoops, that is also an alpha, is going to be 40k. So I'm saving a lot if I make all my Quillfish male and then breed them with female Quillfish, my alpha Quillfish, sorry. So it really is trying to figure out how to squeeze as many dollars as you can out of the game sometimes, because it does add up over a long, long time, which is what egging is going to take. Be patient, it's going to take a while. And the final piece of prep, well, the final two pieces of prep. Number one, the first time you talk to the breeder, they'll actually have a bunch of dialogue, which you're not going to see here because I have strings on. You can breed one egg after logging on to avoid having this happen on Charm. But I'm not going to do that right now because I'm not going to be popping a Charm for this video because I'm only making 2 boxes of eggs. So the final piece of prep is to go into your interface settings and change your UI scaling. This is going to make it so if I hold Control and A, or my A key, so F for me, Z by default, you're going to see it actually brings up this menu, and then the breed button is not very far away. While on 1.0 scaling, if I do that, and I really should have just bred an egg so I didn't have to go through all the dialogue, on 1.0 scaling, I'll have to pick these two and then move my mouse all the way over here to press breed. And I'm actually going to press breed on that so we don't have to watch the dialogue again. Now, pardon me here. This is just for the video. You don't have to put the egg away. I'm going to because it helps one of my next points. Now I'm going to talk about egging mechanics, and we're going to change to the 1.25 scaling. This is going to be different based on the player. You can also do this by lowering the size of your window. I just don't like the way that looks, especially for the video. So I'm going to hold Control and A, which is going to bring me all the way through the menu. Releasing A here. I'm going to pick my 2 breeders, still holding Control. Click, click, and then press breed. I'm going to not do this yet. But the other thing you could do is press B. This is, I don't personally like to do this, but you can press B to activate multi-select, which just lets you drag over Pokemon easier. And then right-click and press breed slot 1 and 2. This is just however you prefer to do it. Sometimes I'll just switch it up. If I'm kind of zoning out, it helps me lock back in. And that was suggested to me by Skitty to make sure to include multi-select as an option. And now this is, I would call this an intermediate to maybe advanced tip. This is suggested to me by Clue, and this is something that I have been singing the praises of for a while now. But it is super important if you want to optimally egg to learn how to hatch while you make eggs. And you might be a little bit confused. So how this works is every minute, at a certain point within the minute, an egg tick will pass. After a certain amount of ticks, and I'll explain that in a second, your eggs will try to hatch. If you are busy, they won't hatch. Busy means in a battle, walking through a door, talking to an NPC, which includes the breeder, and a couple other things. I think like getting invited to a link. You know, certain random stuff makes you busy and will cause your eggs not to hatch. Now, the devs tried to fix this, the eggs not hatching, by making it so at the end of battle, if your eggs would have been ready to hatch, they will just hatch. That didn't happen before Halloween. You would have had to wait until the next minute. But we don't have a battle here to trigger that. So what we're going to have to do is learn about the global timer, which you can easily figure out what the egg tick is by hatching any egg. If I have this Charmander here that I hatched earlier, hatch it while you're out of battle, and you can see that right here, it was hatched at 9:49:17. That means that 17 seconds into every single minute is when the egg tick happens. There is the option to enable the seconds mode on your Windows clock down here, which is what I like to do. I will include a video in the description on how to do that, or a link to a video in the description. The other option you have, which works really well if you have a second monitor, is to go to the website time.is. See up here? And this is just a big timer. All you have to know is that whatever the egg tick is, like I said, it's 17 right now. It changes whenever the server restarts, which is typically just for events. But it's helpful to check once in a while what if the egg tick is still the same. So that means that when this last number says 17, that's the egg tick. It sounds complicated, but it is really simple. So what that means is, if I want my eggs to hatch while I am making eggs, all I have to do is not be talking to this guy when the timer says 17, when that is 4 minutes after I've made my eggs. I will try to explain that again while I am doing it, but the way the egg ticks work, or the way the eggs work, is they take 6 ticks by default, and then Donator status and Flame Body or Magma Armor will both take 1 tick off. I know that's not accurate to what they say it does, but that's just how it works. Is Donator takes 1 tick off, and Flame Body or Magma Armor each take 1 tick off. So if you're using both, it will be 4 ticks, or more easy to understand is 4 minutes for your eggs to hatch. Now I'm going to try to explain how this ticking works while I make my batch of eggs. And I messed up the first one. So I'm going to hold Control, hold down A, and then Control click. And these are going to be added to my party. You do have to repress A. Oops. You do have to repress A to talk to the guy again. And then my party will fill up. And you see how down at the bottom here of my screen, it says that it is 11:58 right now. So that means that my eggs should hatch at 12:02 because it's plus 4 minutes. So I'm just going to sit here and make my eggs. I'm just holding down Control this entire time, which is a useful tip that was recommended to me by Smoky Cat. It is hard to make making eggs interesting, but if we are paying attention to our clock down there, it is now 11:59. You don't have to laser focus in on the clock. Eventually you'll get just kind of a feel for it. And you just have to glance down at the clock once in a while to make sure you're still on target and you haven't missed a tick. If you miss a tick, it doesn't matter. Just be out of battle for the next tick, or out of not busy. Sometimes if you don't hold down A for long enough on the breeder guy, you'll be stuck on this screen. Just press A again and it will progress you through. And one tip I actually forgot to mention because I haven't mastered it is that you can use background elements of the game to line up your mouse better. So I know my mouse wants to be right about here. Whoops. So I can put my mouse like on this fence post, if you see down here. And then my mouse will be in the right spot to breed that Charmander. Everyone develops their own little methods for this, but it is really helpful to always have your mouse either in the right spot or close to the right spot. I'm messing up here, pressing B. Trying to describe what I'm doing. So it is going into 12:01 now, if we're paying attention to the clock. I'm going to speed up some of this footage. But in one more minute, when the clock says 17, my eggs will be ready to hatch, and then I'll show you how hatching while you make eggs works. Oh, I see. If you accidentally press A again on this window, it will go back to the PC box. Alright, we are coming up on the egg tick, so I'm going to probably make one more egg here. And you can see if I take my hands off the keyboard, the egg should hatch now. There they go. It feels really cool to know how ticks work, by the way. Easy way to flex on people who don't know how ticks work. You can be like, oh, my eggs will hatch right now. And then you just grab new eggs, and now they will hatch at 12:06:17. It really seems complicated at first. I promise it's not. So this is generally just how egging works. I don't do it that fast because, again, I'm used to egging off charm. I don't personally like to, but here you go. That is about the last of my tips for while you're breeding the eggs. And I will have a couple tips on hatching the eggs, so I will speed through making these last couple eggs. Because I bought the dittos, so I'm going to make the darn eggs. Alright, I've made my 2 boxes of eggs. Typically when someone says a box of eggs, they mean 30. Normally people say 60 for a box, but for eggs specifically, for organization purposes, it's easier to just talk about them in terms of 30. And you might not have noticed, but when this box filled up, which was when this box filled up, which was that first box of eggs I made, I just moved it out of the way. You can either move it down to be really fast, you can move it all the way to the side, but just make it so your empty box, or your box that doesn't have eggs in it, goes to the front. So then I would move this one, and then this one would have dittos in it and stuff, and I would continue going like that. Now, I've already explained how donator status and flame body work. I do want to stress again, charms are optional, donator status is not. It saves a lot of time. Because it lowers, or it increases your shiny odds. So it changes it from 1 in 30k to 1 in 27k, which is technically like an 11% increase, not 10, but you didn't hear that from me. The devs have been lying about the shiny rate. It's actually easier to get shinies than they say, by a very small amount. Anyway, the last real tip I have is that while you're hatching, it is important to know that some hatched Pokemon, some, hatchers actually have some utility to them. So the Pokemon Chandelure, I really don't like the way this UI looks. Chandelure has Flame Body, which will make your eggs hatch faster, but it also gets access to the move Taunt. I thought it didn't have it for a second. Taunt can disable Teleport or a bunch of other really annoying moves that could make it so your shiny that you're hunting while you're hatching runs away. For example, if I just went down here and started single hunting in this grass, and a shiny Ralts showed up, my camera can't stop the Ralts from using Teleport. Other little things is Kricketune is a swarm Pokemon with access to Taunt. So if you don't feel like hatching really fast and feel like getting more single encounters, which is just preference, whichever one you want to do, Kricketune is the only swarm lead with access to Taunt. And finally, Camerupt, which is my favorite hatcher, mostly because I love the way he looks. But Camerupt has Magma Armor, which is kind of technically better than Flame Body, because Magma Armor makes it so when the wild Pokemon hit you, they don't have a chance to get burned, while Flame Body has that burn chance. And those were some tips suggested to me by the player Clue. I think that is most of what I want to cover. There are some interesting techs with like a 4K monitor and making your resolution really big, but I don't have a 4K monitor and can't test that. But it made it so essentially when they brought up the breeding window, it was overlapped like this, which can be a good thing. You can go like, breeders and then hit the breed button down there, but I can't do that tech. I have not been able to figure it out if it is doable on a smaller than 4K monitor. But the UI scale change that I talked about will get you a similar outcome. Other than that, leave any extra egging tips that you might think of or that might be discovered in the future down in the comments. And thank you for watching. I know this video is probably longer than it should be, but I really wanted to go in depth. I wanted to share everything I knew, even if that meant the video was a little rambly and a little too long. So thank you very much. I will probably have another video for you soon. I know I've said that in the past, but I've had a pretty crazy week when it comes to shiny hunting, and I will have some kind of video talking about it soon. So maybe I will foreshadow that here if I remember to do that in editing. And if not, have a great day, and good luck on hitting your egg shinies. It's really hard, and going dry on eggs sucks. So I wish you guys the most Mickey Mouse lucky egg shinies you will ever find. Have a good one. See ya.